Hello again. In my continuing reviews of the 1970s dystopian science fiction movies, we come to one of the strangest of them all, 1974's Zardoz, directed, written, and produced by the great John Boorman, who wrote what I believe is to be the best King Arthur movie of all time, Excalibur, which I highly recommend. This one, I can't really recommend that well. It's interesting. It's strange. Apparently, Boorman made it after he lost a bid to adopt Lord of the Rings, which is too bad because I think he would have done a really terrific job, possibly even better than Peter Jackson did later on. But that said, this movie takes place in the year 2293. Society is now divided into an elite referred to as the Eternals and brutal executioner type killers referred to as the Brutals, who are supplied with guns to kill each other by this flying statue called Zardoz, which literally spits guns out of its mouth. And they, in exchange for grain and food that these Brutals grow for the Eternals. One day, Zed, who's an exterminator, a Brutal, played by Sean Connery, in what's basically kind of like a diaper and leather boots, kind of like an S&M looking outfit, which I thought was very silly at the time, hides aboard inside the mouth of this flying statue, and he temporarily kills its operator and creator named Arthur Frayne, and is flown to the Vortex, which is where the Eternals live, and they're ruled by an artificial intelligence known as the Tabernacle. They're all bored, literally bored to death. They can't die, but if someone violates their rules, they can age them prematurely, and even though their body will eventually die, they're reborn into a younger body that's basically the same. He meets Charlotte Rampling and is somewhat smitten with her, and they kind of start a romance, and he learns more and more, and Arthur Frayne eventually shows him a copy of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, which is where they got the name for their quote-unquote god, Zardoz. And he starts learning more and more about what happened to society and what they're planning to do, which is basically nothing. They just want to die. They can't. And they're literally bored, and he finds out that he's not just a typical Brutal. He was basically biologically engineered by Arthur Frayne to become superior and to end the rule of the Eternals, which he does. He destroys the Tabernacle, leads his fellow Brutals into the Vortex, and they exterminate the Eternals, who are grateful because that's all they wanted was to die. He has impregnated the Charlotte Rampling character, and I think the last thing you see is that they have a son, and they grow old and they die, and the last thing that remains is just a handprint on the wall and Zed's revolver of their legacy. That's what's left. It's kind of an interesting, commentary on society. It's sort of, in some ways, like Aldous Huxley's A Strange New World, where, again, the society is divided into groups of, in that it was, intellectuals and quote-unquote savages. It's very similar to the society in Zardoz. Not entirely certain I could recommend it other than for something to give you a good laugh. Roger Ebert said something like this movie was a haven for set decorators, and that's about it. Not one of Boorman's best efforts like Excalibur or Hope and Glory, both of which are fantastic, and I recommend to the hilt. But it's interesting. It's one of the stranger of the dystopian science fiction movies of the 70s.